So you guys may have seen the brand new teaser episode for the Greenfluence podcast, and you're probably thinking what on earth we're doing and who we are. Well, you come to the right place.
So Viz and I have decided to record this little chat just to give you an introduction to ourselves and a bit of taste of our own lives and why we have created Greenfluence. My name is Valentin.
And I'm Vythilingam.
And Viz, where do we meet again?
It was actually in summer school. So we're one of those kids just doing more classes at uni back in the day, pre-COVID. Yeah, and then I guess like Maya and I, we were pretty good mates in uni. We went to a few ASOC balls and we knew quite a few friends in common. And I guess like Maya, I think we always had that interest in like finance and bringing people together. And recently we've got this interest in climate finance and sustainability and how we can create a network from there.
Definitely. And if you don't know what ASOC is, by the way, it's the Actuarial Society. And Viz actually studied actuarial studies at uni and applied finance. And so I also study applied finance and law, and I will be graduating end of this year. And Viz, you've been out of uni for a while now.
Yeah, so I'm a bit older. Well, so I went to uni pre-COVID.
Nice way to put it.
Yeah, so no, I'm very young, as you guys can see. So I graduated end of 2019, as Maya said, did actuarial studies and finance. Actuarial is one tough degree, and I'm not pursuing it anymore. At this stage, I'm actually working at KPMG as a consultant. So I work in the tech space, in the tech risk and cyber team. It's been a very good experience. Really enjoyed working for the firm. Have been involved in many opportunities, but I have a keen passion in climate change and sustainability. So that's where I see my direction heading, and that's one of the key motivations for me to start this podcast. What about you, Maya? Like, how does this link to your bigger picture?
Well, it's been an underlying interest. I can't say that I can't say that my whole career has been focused on sustainability, but definitely from even when I was back in high school and I was doing design and technology. One of the reasons I wanted to design was to design products for global good, which is whether, designing water wheels for developing countries or systems that could help governments overcome sustainability issues. And so I am, nearing the end of my degree. I am working in a boutique law firm and also an intellectual property law firm. Last summer, I interned at Bank of America in their investment banking division, particularly in their technology, media and telecommunications space. And that crossover between corporate and sustainability really brings in that governance perspective, which is also what we're going to touch on this podcast, talk about policies, talking about internal regulations.
Maya and I, we've been very interested in social impact, and we've got like a lot of interest in like startups, in I guess ESG, impact investing, things like that. So I guess like the main purpose for us is to get a group of people who are also very passionate about climate change and about finance and how that all links together. And we want to, I guess, bring some awesome founders, some awesome people together, young and also experienced, and just create like a really awesome community. So Maya, I'm going to ask you this question. What are you most excited about the Greenfluence podcast?
Well, really, sustainability is our future, and we need to embrace being able to shift our organization, shift our world, where we work, what we do, how we live and breathe, to be able to make our planet and our world be able to live longer. And we are creating this community because these concepts are not new, but this space is new and this space is evolving quickly. And I think you can agree that there's currently an ESG wave at the moment. Yeah. But who are the people that need to drive this? That is us. That's the future. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, no,
What about you?
yeah, 100% agree, Maya. So I guess like for me, when looking at a career, I feel purpose is so important. And I have like a background of finance at uni, and I think you and I can agree that a lot of the finance we learned is very much what was taught, like what's been taught for the past 20, 30 years. There's very little indication of, I want to make profit, but how can I also make purpose? The focus has been on shareholder returns, but now we're looking for stakeholder returns, right? We don't just consider making money, we're considering other factors. We're looking at, how can we reduce carbon emissions? We're looking at our boards. How can we improve our gender diversity? We're looking at equal pay. We're looking at so many different things. And I think while environment is something that we all focus on with the IPCC report, with like so many natural disasters happening, it's really scary for us at the future, but we can't forget the social and governance sort of aspects as well. And I think that's something that we also want to get our listeners to be more involved in, like looking at things like, I guess, child labor, and looking at wage equality, things like that, and looking at from a more higher level how a company is run, because those factors will affect how a company performs financially. And what we're seeing is that all these different factors actually affect how much money a company makes and the returns for investors, which is why I think this space is so interesting.
Like at uni, I was really involved with an organization called Women Entering Business, where we looked at promoting gender equality, especially in very male-dominated industries. And during that time there, you can see that everything that you want to try to change is a structural problem. And so we, as young professionals, we are going to eventually need all the skills and the experience and the knowledge to be able to step up and actually change, even if that's 5 years or 10 years down the track, change these organizations for the better.
Yeah, for sure. I think as well, like it's really scary that like a lot of these companies are like, for example, some of them are taken to court because in the case where they might not be able to reach their net zero targets, or in the case where they're actually falling behind on climate goals. The ESG has gone from like a nice to have, it looks good, to like we must do it now. And while that's scary for companies, I think it's really good for you and me, for stakeholders. Like we can put so much action on these companies for them to do the right thing. And I think that's something that I'm also so excited about the podcast, right? It's like looking at people and saying like, you could make a change for this company, and we're going to find really cool people who have done that, and it's up to you. So I think that's so exciting.
Totally, because we're also investors as well. And we'll actually have to talk about some investments and how we can rethink, responsible investing, which is our first episode.
Yeah, no spoilers yet, Maya.
Zipped.
Our goal here is to empower young people to understand like the intersections between like climate, between finance, and between business strategy, sustainability. So we want to create like a path for people to understand the space. We are not preaching a certain lifestyle. We just want to educate, empower, and get young people as interested as we are in the space. And how we do that, I think that's our journey. I think we don't fully know yet, Maya, but really excited to start this journey.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to combat greenwashing as well.
Oh, because,
of course. All the amount of, hey, we plant trees, that needs to stop.
Yeah, no, I think for those listeners who might not be too aware, so greenwashing is this phenomenon that's happening where various companies, they may set a target, like we want to achieve a net zero goal by 2050, but essentially they don't have credible evidence to prove that, and it becomes a marketing stunt. So we've seen this happen quite often. So I think that's something that is going to be something we would explore even more on this podcast. So yeah, looking forward to that, Maya.
Yeah. And actually, can you tell us about the current course that you're doing?
Oh, the current course. I've kept that a secret for no. So I'm actually doing a CFA in the ESG. So I think many of our listeners would be familiar with the whole CFA, the level 1, 2, and 3, which is considered, I think, the premier sort of qualification in finance. So I'm a bit special. So I'm doing the ESG exam. So that's a standalone test that focuses right on this sort of stuff. So environmental, social, and governance factors, the spectrum of responsible investing, looking at portfolio investing, mandates, things like that. So it's essentially investing for the modern world. So I think it's like, yeah, a really exciting course. I'd encourage you guys to have a look if you're interested. So I've been doing a bit of study for that. Yes, my
And probably would encourage all our listeners and viewers to just read widely. And there are a ton of free courses out there at the moment. Everyone wants to learn about this, but pair up with someone, pair up with a friend and join your sustainability club or impact investing club and learn more.
Yeah, for sure. I know, like with Maya, I send her stuff on Messenger and LinkedIn, so she's probably sick of me sharing. She's probably sick of me sharing a lot of stuff, but no, I just find it super interesting, and I'm glad she actually reads it, because not everyone would read the stuff I share. But there are some really good podcasts out there. So one I recommend, which another friend of mine listens to as well. It's called the Good Futures Podcast by John Treadgold, and basically what John Treadgold does is that he interviews various leaders in the impact investing space and gets some really good insights. And he's an independent consultant, so he really knows his stuff in the field. In terms of books, a good one we've got is The Donut Economist. Oh, sorry, it's called Donut Economics by Kate Raworth. One of our good friends loves that a lot, so you could be hearing more about that too.
Teasers. And I guess my focus more is in the technology and startups in this field, whether that's clean tech, ag tech, and just looking at how businesses and how technology can transform the way that we approach climate change. I've been seeing a lot in the news about plant-based food startups, and we're going to see a whole revolution in these industries in terms of energy security and food security.
Yeah, Maya, that's a very good point you raised, because I know like you really like your VC. So what I guess like interests you about impact investing and responsible investing and climate tech in the VC world, and what do you think is the direction for that going forward?
Well, everyone who invests needs to recognize that where they put the financial markets have an influential role on the world, and we should be recognizing their impact, not just return wise, but also their economic and social footprint that they leave behind. And so if we are able to change the flow of our money and being able to put that into investments which will make the world a better place for us, then that is the easiest and probably best way we can do that. Take superannuation, for example, right?
Yeah, no, I think we're seeing a huge shift in a lot of people wanting to switch super to more ethical super funds. So ones that don't invest in fossil fuels. And the same applies for banks, because these financial institutions have a huge impact on the climate based on what they invest in. And I think as young people, as investors, that's something we need to be concerned about. And I think you raised a very good point about the idea of impact. And we've talked about how do you measure impact. And yeah, that's something that I think I would also like to explore in this podcast. Like, how do you measure impact, right? Like, where does that fit in? But yeah, an ultimate goal would be to just be like the one-stop community for all young professionals who want to be in the sustainability space or even the responsible investment space. And I think the other thing as well will be just for people to sort of change their views and like expand their thinking. I know a lot of people might have the view that, like I want to make profit, I care about shareholder returns, I might not care if I invest in fossil fuels, but that sort of thing is becoming more material. And I think I want to get people to change their mindset and realize that this is a really important space and it's the way I can make an impact. And I think the last thing is, if we can get young people who want to get in the space because they want to make a purpose, I think that would be just amazing. Like, I feel a lot of people might not necessarily have a career that they're passionate about. And if we can get people to be passionate about the space and understand they have a purpose in the space, I think that will be like a really good end vision for Greenfluence.
Yeah, fantastic.
What about you, Maya?
Yeah, exactly. And I see the community growing even globally. I would love this to be a place where people feel comfortable to talk about their ideas, to be able to debate critically on issues like climate change, and also for startups to be able to get funding.
Yeah.
And ideally, who knows where we might be? We might be running this as a venture capital fund as well. I would love to connect people in this community with each other, and it's all about how we can move forward together.
Yeah, awesome. I think that's something that you and me enjoy, the idea of bringing people together and building a community. So so any final words for our listeners, Maya? Anything they should be aware of or look forward to?
They will be looking forward to joining our community platforms. So we will be spreading the word on LinkedIn, Facebook, and also through a newsletter. Very exciting times lie ahead. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for staying on. Yes.
I know you've taken quite a bit of time out of your day, but really, to all the listeners and people who are watching, your support means a lot to us, and you are a very essential part of the community. So hope you get on board this Greenfluence journey, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
See you guys. Thanks.